Hello everyone, and welcome to this No BS Wings of Fate guide updated for 2026. I'm super happy to present this to you as it is still one of my most viewed videos on my channel, even though the original was posted in 2022. So first, I want to go over a few things that this guide is not. So namely, it is not an in-depth lore guide to the Mushroom Shrine story. I will be fast forwarding or skipping a majority of the text in this quest because otherwise the video would literally be 3 hours long. Second, this video is not a guide on the Threads of Fate, which I personally do think is still viable in 2026. I actually know a few people who still do the Threads of Fate daily for crafting materials for professions. I do plan to make a video on this in the future, so please look out for that. Before getting into the elements though, I did want to give a preview of the rewards and answer a few commonly asked questions from the 2022 version of this video. First off, how long does this quest take? And the answer is it's about 60 to 90 minutes if you skip all the text. If you don't, you're looking probably double that. Is this worth doing in 2026? And the answer to that is if you like story, cosmetics, quest completion, and a cool damage skin that I don't typically see others use, then absolutely. If you purely are in it for the damage numbers, then it probably won't be for you. Speaking of the rewards, you'll actually receive a cape in the shape of black wings, a damage skin, a chair, a medal, a temporary medal, and a few titles along the way. And then the Tengu fight at the end. This fight is extremely confusing, and frankly, it's not explained how to finish it at all. However, I did want to mention that if you have your Ascent skill from the Hexa Matrix, you can skip the fight entirely. Credit to this user for letting me know in my comments on the original video. I do plan to go over how to beat Tengu the normal way as part of the wood elements section, but I wanted you to know that in case you want to skip the vanilla fight. With all that in mind, let's get right on into it. To get started, you'll accept the Mushroom Shrine Tales quest from the quest notifier on the left side, and you'll be teleported to the Mushroom Shrine, which is part of the Tengu, on the top left of the Maple World if you prefer to teleport from the overworld. There will be some exposition that you can read through after you click on Kino, but once you have control of your character, it will tell you where to go with arrows or you can teleport. Either way, once there, you'll go through the portals to the right until you see a place on the ground to click. Click this node, then go through the portal on the right. Do that one more time until you reach the Tanuki on the ground. You'll click on him for some exposition, and if you go slow enough here, you can choose the top option, which will actually cause a fight, or you can click the bottom option, which will have him give you the fire element without the fight. As you can see here, I was going really fast, and I ended up choosing the top option. So if you do choose the top option, you'll have to click on Tanuki one more time. It will start the fight, and then once you defeat him, you'll go through a little bit more exposition and he'll give you the fire element. After the chatting is complete, you'll go back to the left one portal to talk to Takeno Kanoko. Talk to her and she'll tell you that she wants you to light some lanterns. And as you can see in the background where you can click, there are 4 of them in total. There's one in this room. There is one to the left. There's one also to the left, one more room, and then you go back to the right 2 rooms for the final one that is actually on top of Takeno Kanoko. Once you're done clicking all these lanterns, you'll go back to Takeno Kanoko to finish the fire element section. I do want to mention that there is a ton of exposition after this, and there is also a quick time event section where you have to press the space bar or the up arrow key or the control key, something like that. But the quest portion of the fire element is complete. Once the exposition is complete and you have control of your character, you'll walk up to Kino and chat with her again. She will once again tell you where to go, and you can either walk or you can teleport. And you'll be going back to the area you just were, except this time you're going to the portal on top of the hill instead of the right portal. This section introduces Ibaraki, and once you enter the room, there will be a 2-minute cooldown that you have to eliminate some Oni within. They come from the left, then the right then the middle twice. And yes, you do have to spend the full 2 minutes in here. There's no way to make it go any faster. Once the 2-minute timer is complete, you'll go into the right side portal, then chat with Ibaraki, and then go into the right portal again. In this room, there's going to be 3 types of Oni that will spawn, and you'll need to collect 5 of each type of mask by eliminating them. Once you have 5 of each mask, you'll take them to the pillars on the right side, and thankfully Soul Janus, if you're over 260, makes this incredibly easy. Once all 3 pillars are complete, you'll go to the top right portal after clicking on the quest that's completed from Ibaraki. And in this room, you'll be introduced to another character named Kamaitachi, who is a weasel, who you have to once again protect. In this room, specifically, you have to kill 10 of each type of Oni that come from the left and also from the right. Once the total of 30 enemies are defeated, you'll be treated to a little bit more exposition, and once you get control of your character again, you'll be in a jump quest. In this room, you'll see a bunch of platforms with portals. The goal is to get to the top right portal to progress. If you go in the middle or the top left, you'll go into a general room where you have to eliminate all Oni in the room before you can try again. You may have noticed some breakable boxes in the portal room, but you don't actually need to break these and collect them to proceed. I did test this with a second character to be sure, but as you can see in the video, the way to get to the top right is go to the 3rd portal from the green crystal and keep pressing up until you arrive. Once you do, there'll be some more exposition and you will need to defeat Gyuki. After that, there will be some quick time events and you will receive the metal element. Congrats on getting the second one. Once you have control of your character again, you'll once again talk to Kino Kinoko to get started on the 3rd element, which is the water element. You can also teleport again, or you can walk there. Make sure to remember this room's here right here because you'll be coming back here to collect handkerchiefs later. As you continue moving to the right, you'll encounter a weird church service. After the church service, you'll go back to Kino Kinoko for a little bit more exposition, and you'll need to choose either the Weasel or the Tengu to take with you. There's no difference in rewards, so you can take whoever and then you'll be teleported back to the cave. Go in the portal and then go into the middle portal. Here you'll want to accept the missions and complete them. The first ghost is just talking. The Spectre with the sword wants 500,000 mesos. The Pale Spectre wants unholy water, which you get from the Black Spectre. And for the Black Spectre, you'll need to get 60 handkerchiefs from the enemies that look like him outside the cave in the room that I mentioned to remember earlier. Make sure to also collect 1 Gospel of New to give to the Heim up there on the top right. And in the video, I go to collect the blob things from the portal behind the Black Ghost first, since you'll need 20 of those for the quest right after the handkerchiefs. It really doesn't matter what order you collect them in, it's just the order I happen to do them in. Once you have all your handkerchiefs, head back into the cave and give them to the Black Spectre to proceed with the next section. If you did the blobs early, you can give him the blobs, and then you'll want to give the unholy water to the Pale Spectre. The Pale Spectre will grow 3 sizes that day, and you'll need to eliminate him and then proceed through the portal on the left side. Talk to Ibaraki and fight the skeleton warriors. Then you go right back to the left portal and talk to Tengu or the Weasel, depending on who you took with you. In this section, they're going through evidence, and you'll have to actually click through each different option to move on. There's no way to skip through it, unfortunately. When it asks who is the biggest threat or outlier, you'll want to select Kubanashi. At that point, it'll teleport you outside, and you'll go back into the cave, and you'll be greeted with a jump quest. The jump quest, thankfully, is pretty easy. It's not super long though, so please enjoy. At the end of the jump quest, you'll arrive in the church service room, and you'll go to the middle portal. You can safely hold spacebar through all of this, and once you are done in this room, you'll then go into the right portal. Inside this right portal, you'll be presented with two separate options at the end to pick up. You want to make sure you choose the bottom option for the ledger. Once you complete the exposition, you'll be teleported back out, and then you'll go back into the cave. But at this point, you'll be presented with the same jump quest, however with less obstacles. So again, please enjoy except for with less obstacles. At the end of the jump quest, you'll realize that the Pale Spectre captain has actually set a trap. So what happens is he actually gets gigantic, and he tries to chase you down on a moving ground pathway. Now you can either jump over these heims that are on the path. Normally they would hit you and knock you into the Pale Spectre captain. You can actually attack them too, but I just jumped over them in the video. It was just easier for me to do that. Thankfully, this only goes for about 90 seconds. It does not go for the full 5 minutes. And at the end of that 90 seconds, you crash New's current church service. Click on New to start the trial, and keep in mind there are only 2 options you need to select here. The first will be to doubt that New has been to the abyss and back, and the evidence for that will be New's birthday party. At this point, there's going to be a pretty absurd amount of exposition, so get ready to read or skip depending on how you want to proceed. And you'll learn that the Weasel and Kubanashi actually hate each other's guts. But once that's complete, you'll be sent back to the shrine where you'll be given the 3rd element. Congrats on getting through that section, and let's head on to the Earth element. If you made it this far, congratulations. I know it's been a grind so far, and we're, I would say, about 70% of the way through. So to get started, you'll want to talk to Kino Kanoko again, and there will be a bunch of exposition, but after that, you'll need to talk to Ibaraki and Kamaitachi. Ibaraki wants to bribe the foxes for the element with money, and Kamaitachi wants to bribe them with food. So once you talk to both of them, you'll need to go to Bronze, who is in that first room, and buy 2 dango. Take that dango back to Kamaitachi, and then talk to Uzuna to get started. Once you get started, there's going to be a little bit of exposition with New, which I've actually skipped here. And you'll have 3 rooms of fox bandits where you'll need to defeat all enemies to progress. I've taken the liberty of skipping ahead to the mountainside, and once you do, you'll need to talk to Ibaraki, and he'll want to try to bribe the foxes with money. You can try to give him less than 50,000, but unfortunately you can't give him any less to progress, so it's got to be 50,000. And of course, once again, I've taken the liberty of fast forwarding as there is an absurd amount of exposition here. But once you do get control of your character again, you'll click on Izuna and then go to the top right and complete the jump quest. Thankfully, this jump quest is pretty easy. It's 2 rooms and that's about it. So yeah, please enjoy. Once you've completed the jump quest, it sends you back to that sort of little hub room there for a little bit of exposition before it sends you back to the second section, which is going to be on the middle right. You'll need to go up there and kill a bunch of rock guys and collect their rocks. You'll need to collect 30 of them. Again, this is made very much easier by Soul Janus if you have it. If you don't, this could take a hot second because the density of the enemies is very low. Also, if your drop rate isn't very high, these guys don't always drop 1. But once you're done though, you'll go back again to the hub room, which will then send you up to the middle left portal, where you'll have to eliminate some enemies and then click on the flower. Once you're done clicking on the flower, again, go back to the hub, then talk to Izuna again, and this will send you to a building where you have to eliminate a few more enemies. It's like 5 or 10. It's not too bad. It'll send you right back to that hub world one more time, but you'll notice a new NPC there, Sakura. You need to talk to this girl and get the quest, and then get her doll back from the bottom right portal. You can actually just go to the top of this room and defeat the giant Oni and then go back. You don't have to defeat all the other Oni, you can just skip them. Once you're done with that, there's going to be more story, more exposition, and at that point you will talk to Nu, which would then send you to a fight with the demons inside of Kurama, the nine-tailed fox. And this is the last quest step for the earth element, the 4th element. All you need to do now is to scroll through and read all of the exposition and story, and we'll proceed to the wood element. All right, the final element. We are almost there. So the 5th element is started by talking to Kinoko, of course, where you'll then be sent into the past. You'll go into the right portal, do a little bit of talking here to Kappa, and you'll need to translate clues and pass a couple of different tests. The first test is the test of anguish. For this, you'll need to go into the portal and then not move for about 40 full seconds. Once that section is done, you'll go to the right, talk to Yoruzu again, and then do the next test, which is the test of insight. This requires you to pick the one NPC that's a little bit different in the group of 5. Once the test of insight is complete, you'll talk to Yoruzu again. He'll walk away after taking a snack, and then he'll come back and you will start the final test, which is the test of anguish. This test actually requires you to eliminate all enemies at once, although it's really not explained. So the idea here is to wait about 30-ish seconds, wait for the big crow to spawn, the big gray crow. And then once that big gray crow spawns, you eliminate everything all at once, and it will end the challenge. Once done, you'll travel through a few memories, starting with the portal at the top left or the yellow portal. This is actually the exact same as the Test of Anguish, and you'll just need to wait and then defeat all of the crows all at one time. Next up is going to be the red portal. And this portal requires you to stay ahead of Genko while also not touching the purple enemies on the ground. So it's basically another jump quest, but just a little bit more complicated because you're jumping on background items, so it's a little harder to see where you're jumping. But just focus on staying on top of the buildings and you should be fine. The blue portal is another memory where you learn that you have to collect cucumbers. But then, of course, you give these cucumbers to a starving, what I assume is Yoruzu. And of course, the monks don't like this, of course, because they can't do the ritual if there are no cucumbers. To collect the cucumbers, you'll just jump around up to the cucumbers themselves. You don't actually attack them, you have to actually click on them. And then you'll do a little quick time event, and it'll pop out of the ground, and you can collect it. There's only 5 of them in the whole map, so you don't have to worry about missing them somehow. Which then takes us into our final memory here on the top right. In this one, you're actually surrounded by crows again. However, the challenge on this is to take a number of hits versus losing about a third of your health. I believe in the original video I said it was about a third of your health, but here in the video you'll see that I don't actually ever get anywhere close to about a third of my health. I end up just standing there and taking a bunch of hits, and then it eventually ends. So I believe it's actually a total number of hits here. But either way, once that memory is completed, you'll go to the big portal in the middle to face the final boss of this questline, which is Tengu. This boss is cool, theoretically, as all damage is done via a quick time event, assuming you do it vanilla, which on one hand is a pretty cool concept. But on the other hand, that means you're going to be time gated into waiting for the section where you can actually start the quick time event to do damage. It's going to take 10 total triggers to beat Tengu, as each full quick time event takes 10% of his health away. Thankfully, his attacks are pretty simple to dodge, so we'll go ahead and go over each one of them now. The first attack is a scream, which does about 5% damage, and you can just stand there if you want to. His second attack sees him go to one side, where he tries to blow you into a tornado on the other side, which again doesn't do very much damage. You probably could tank the entire attack if you wanted to, especially if you have a pet with auto potion. The next attack will be triggered if you stand directly below him while he is screaming. There's a purple window for damage, but if you're not fast enough to do the quick time event and move out of the way, the ensuing slam attack will be a one-hit KO. The next related attack is actually just a ground slam, which is also a one-hit KO, but without any sort of warning. If you stand directly underneath him the entire fight, once you get down about 30 to 40%, he'll start doing this attack. This is why I recommend standing over towards the right where the unlit lantern is to prevent this attack. The last attack is when he jumps and flies away. When he does this, there will be some slashes that are clearly marked on the ground with about a second or two to dodge. And after performing a few slashes, he'll fly in from the background to the foreground. If you're standing in the middle, that fly-in is a one-hit KO, so you want to move to the left or right to avoid that. But right after this attack, there is always a guaranteed section where the purple light will appear, and this is where we'll talk about damaging the boss. After the flyover is complete, you can teleport to the middle or jump to the middle and jam on your spacebar. When you jam on your spacebar, it will start the QuickTime event. After you get the QuickTime event started, you'll then need to press one of the 4 cardinal directions along with spacebar about 10 times to finish the whole sequence to do 10% damage. Sometimes the purple light will appear outside of the flyover, and I've found that this is the most reliable way to start the QuickTime event. You'll have to quickly get inside the purple light once it appears, but not go quite all the way directly underneath Tengu, because otherwise he might stick you into the ground. Once you get inside, then you spam the spacebar to start the QuickTime event. And then finally, I did want to show, if you have your Ascent skill in 6th job right there, it will actually finish the job immediately. Either way though, once you're done with the Tengu boss, you'll have finished this section and you'll receive the final element. But don't worry, there's a little bit more. We're not quite done, but the last section is super fast. If you made it this far, congratulations. We are about 98% of the way done. This section is 98% just storytelling and one singular fight. And he's like a normal boss, so normal attacks will work. And before I move on from this section, I want to show you exactly where to go. I got caught here, and I did get a couple questions on this in the past, so if you don't go into that portal where I just went into, and you try to click on Tengu, he'll say something like, "You're not eligible for the Wings of Fate." And so I wanted to point out that if you skip through all of the text, just make sure you go into that specific portal. Otherwise, there's nothing anywhere that tells you where to go. There's no quest notifier, there's no arrows, there's no nothing. But once you're done defeating Genku, that's basically it. Everybody comes in and helps you, and you win with the power of teamwork. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the end of this, and we'll talk about the rewards. Congratulations on finishing this monster freaking quest, man. You deserve a beer. Once you have control of your character, you'll talk to Akino Kanoko, and she'll award you with the damaged skin, the chair, and the medal. After that, you'll go over to Tengu and collect your Wings of Fate. The nice thing about the Wings of Fate is that you can just drop them until you get a good roll of bonus stats, because Tengu will just keep giving you more of them with new stats. If you guys made it this far, I love you and thank you so much for watching. If this guide helped you even a tiny bit, I would welcome subscribe and like, just to know you want me to keep making guides. Peace out.